Happy Monday. It's Joe. It's time for Pocket with Joe. We got a short card of games today, just 5 on the board, but plenty of opportunities to make some freaking money. I want to thank you guys all for joining me here on this beautiful Monday, the first day of spring. Sure doesn't look like spring outside. I have a ton of snow still out there, but blue skies today. So that is a positive I'm going to take into today. Let's start breaking down these games that we have. We're going to kick off with the first one at 7 o'clock Eastern. We have the Ottawa Senators taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, Ottawa coming in here as the underdog at plus 135 here on the money line with the Pittsburgh Penguins at minus 164. 7 o'clock Eastern matchup, total of 6.5 in this one. Looking at this matchup, we do have Tristan Jarry already confirmed in goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Matt Sogard expected here for the Ottawa Senators. Now we look at the Senators team. This was a team that was really pushing to make a wild card spot, really falling out of that, sitting 6th in the Atlantic, losing their last 5 games. Now they are off a really hard loss. They were able to take the Toronto Maple Leafs to a shootout. That was a 5-4 loss for the Ottawa Senators. So frustrating times for them. They're also on their first leg of a back-to-back. They got divisional opponent in the Boston Bruins on deck tomorrow, and while they need every win they can get, this could be a little bit of a situation where, you know, they pretty much know they are out of the Atlantic Division sitting 6th. With the Boston Bruins first in the Atlantic, we're going to see them at their best tomorrow in that matchup. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins have lost their last 3. They got shut out by the Rangers in an absolutely terrible performance on, I believe it was Saturday, 6-0 shutout there. Now, they have the Avs on deck Wednesday, the Stars on Thursday, and the Capitals on deck Saturday. So they do have a hard schedule ahead of them. They're sitting 5th in the Metro, and this team is absolutely fighting here. They've been able to get the points on the board as of late, finding the back of the goals, averaging that 3.22 goals per game. Now, the last time these teams matched up was back in January. We saw the Penguins get a nice big win. It was a 4-1 win. When we look at this, the Senators do not play well versus Pittsburgh. They've only won 2 of the last 8 meetings versus Pittsburgh. I do think this is one where we could look at Pittsburgh to even cover that puck line. Now, they're coming in at minus 164, so juiced on that money line. But on the puck line, if we take them laying 1.5, it's plus 140. And you guys know I love looking at that plus money. Looking at regulation, minus 105. And I do think that is another solid way to go with this one. I do think they get a nice big win. Now, if you want to look at the Penguins in the first period, another great way to go. We've seen the Ottawa Senators lose the last 5 in that first period versus the Pittsburgh Penguins also. So another thing to consider, they're also 4-23 in the last 27 meetings in Pittsburgh. Now, the problem with the Penguins here, the one bad stat against them is looking at them coming in on 1 day's rest, going 1-5 in their last 6. But the Senators coming in on 1 day's rest as well, they're 0-5 in their last 5 in this situation, and they're 0-5 in their last 5 overall. So I can't back the Senators in this one. I'm going to look at a couple different things. I do think that first period can go over 1.5 goals. We know the Pittsburgh Penguins should be able to put some goals in this one, but I do think we'll see Ottawa come out strong at first. They're going to be frustrated off that loss versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we know in these games where we got a strong goalie like Tristan Jarry, if we're going to see that goal come in by Ottawa, it's going to come in fast in that first period. So looking at the over 1.5, it's minus 154. Looking at both teams to score in that first period, it's plus 142. And you guys know I absolutely love this. These two teams trend to that over when they play each other, going 6-2 in the last 8 meetings to the over, 4-1 in the last 5 meetings in Pittsburgh to the over. And the Penguins 6-2-1 in their last 9 games to that over at home. And then the Ottawa Senators 10-2 in their last 12 overall to that over. So I do think we have a higher scoring one. But I do think Tristan Jarry does a pretty good job on his save shots on goal. We're looking at Tristan Jarry save shots over 27.5 at minus 112. Now, we got to remember the Ottawa Senators are going to be firing away. They average 33.3 shots on goal per game. And we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're allowing these shots to come in at 33.4. So I do expect right around that 34 shots on goal by the Ottawa Senators in this game tonight. I don't see the Penguins limiting their ability to get these shots. Even if we see the Senators put up 4 or 3 of these goals at 34 or even 4 goals, we're still got a nice buffer room for the over 27.5. So I will be riding Tristan Jarry's save shots on goal over 27.5 in this one as well. Big shout out to you guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you joining me. TJ, thanks for being here. Taylor, Benji, Raven, let's cash. Jarry is Swiss cheese, but I do think we will see a strong night out of him. He's not going to, what do you think? He's going to let in 6 goals? I don't see 6 goals coming in. I think we have plenty of buffer with how many goals that the Ottawa Senators can put up. And I know he does let in those goals. And that's another reason we can count towards this over. But I do think 27.5, he needs to save 28 shots on goal. We got 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. 6 goals, and we still are right there. So I do think it is a solid bet to take him. First goal in the first 10 minutes. Yeah, we're going to see a goal fast in this one. I would not be shocked if we saw a goal within that first 5 minutes. I do think that goal comes in quick in this game. Okay, guys, let's move on to the next game. We've got the Florida Panthers taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Now 7 o'clock Eastern matchup for this one as well. Total sitting solid at 6.5. Now the Florida Panthers minus 188 here on the money line. So juicy in this one, plus 155 for the Detroit Red Wings. And I love a home underdog, but I can't get behind the Red Wings in this. They're sitting 7th in the Atlantic, taking on the Florida Panthers, rolling in here, sitting 4th in the Atlantic, fighting for a playoff spot. Now this is their first leg of a back-to-back, but they've got an Atlantic Division opponent here. They want to get this win, and they want to get it big. Whereas tomorrow they have the Philadelphia Flyers. If they had another Atlantic divisional opponent that was sitting above them in the rankings, I would be a little concerned. I'm not concerned with the Flyers on deck here, with them fighting for the ability to get that wild card spot. So Bobrovsky is confirmed for the Florida Panthers, which we all love his ability. And Ville Husso coming out here for the Detroit Red Wings. Now his save shots on goal, interesting number here at 31.5 at minus 116 to the over. We know the Florida Panthers can light up a net, averaging 37 shots on goal per game. Detroit doing a better job than a couple of teams, limiting opponents to that 30.7. So I'm not going to touch Ville Husso's number today. Well, I do think the Florida Panthers probably put a lot of shots on him here. I'm just not sure how well he's going to do in this game. So the Florida Panthers have won their last 2 games. They got that big win over the New Jersey Devils on the weekend. It was a 4-2 win. And this is their first game of a road trip, back-to-back road trip with the Flyers. So then looking at the Detroit Red Wings, they've lost their last 2. The Avs completely crushed them 5-1 on the weekend. They hit the road tomorrow to face the Blues, and they've got 2 games versus the Blues. They face the Blues on the road tomorrow and then back home versus the Blues on Thursday. So no look ahead because they're not facing a team that that is in their division, but I think a little bit of a look ahead in the ways that they're hitting the road tomorrow. They're having to face Florida Panthers team that's really strong tonight. They're going to want to get this win. Divisional opponents. But when we look at the Red Wings, I just can't back this team. 2-9 in their last 11 overall, 1-6 in their last 7 versus the Western Conference. They are completely struggling. They're having a hard time finding the back of the net. They would have to keep pace with goals in this one versus the Florida Panthers, and I just don't know if they can do that on Bobrovsky. They're only averaging just under 3 goals per game at 2.93 and 28.8 shots on goal. So Florida is allowing a couple more shots, allowing that 31.8, but I do see them struggling to get the shots, to get the goals in this one. The Panthers so phenomenally strong in Detroit as well. They've won 23 of the last 29 meetings versus Detroit and 18 of the last 22 in Detroit. Panthers also 5-1 in their last 6 overall. So I do think this is a good one to back the Panthers, but just how do we find value in this one? Now, you can take them in regulation. Taking them in regulation is at minus 145. And I do think there's still value. It's getting a little high. It's getting a little juicy. But I think you can find value in that. Now, a couple of players I'm looking at for prop bets is I think this is a good one to prop bet. Well, these 2 teams actually, when they play, trend to that under. So I am staying up the total as well, you guys, with 12 of the last 7 meetings staying under that total. But this is the Florida Panthers. I can't take an under when it comes to this team. So I lean on the Panthers in regulation. The player props I'm looking at, I'm going to take Matthew Tkachuk over 1.5 points tonight. That's coming in at plus 108. Now, in his last 2 games versus the Detroit Red Wings, he's had an assist in the last 2, and he had a goal in the further of the 2 off back in December. So I do think this is an opportunity for him to get 2 points in this one. I see it coming either by 2 assists or a goal and an assist in this game. So I'm going to ride him over at 1.5 points. And then Sam Reinhart, we know how extremely hot he's been running. Anytime goal, he's coming in at plus 160 today. He's had a goal in each of the Panthers' last 4 games. So I do think this is one. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Look for Sam Reinhart to come out nice and strong, and for Matthew Tkachuk to come out strong as well, taking his points. I looked at Sam Reinhart's points tonight, you guys, but it's too juicy there, so I can't get behind it. But I do think there's value in taking him for that anytime goal at plus 160. And if you just think Matthew Tkachuk can get that goal, I don't blame you for taking him for that goal as well. I think it was coming in at around plus 116 for Matthew Tkachuk for the anytime goal. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look at your comments here, you guys, before we move on to the next one. Mike, thanks for being here. Really appreciate the new subscriber. Have a great day. And we are here every day at 3:30 Eastern, except for a weekend. So it's a good thing you hit that subscribe, because I never know when I'm going live on the weekend. Yeah, in that, it's definitely a really solid way to look. When we don't see goals in that first couple minutes of the first period, those live betting those lines is a prime opportunity to make some money. And also, you got to look at these teams coming back that you do have faith in when that underdog gets up in that first period. Looking at teams to come back has been really profitable so far this season. Panthers and Red Wings score in the first 10 minutes, minus 180. I don't love the juice on that, but I do think that is going to happen there. Florida money line odds aren't worth it. No, the money line odds are not worth it. You're going to have to look at the Florida Panthers in regulation. You can bring that down to minus 105. If you believe in them on the puck line, and the Florida Panthers have been not so great on the puck line, going 13-21 on the puck line on the road, and Detroit 16-18 this season at home. Now, while I do think the Florida Panthers can get a huge win in this one, I'm just a little reluctant. So in regulation is the only way I could take that one. Yeah, in the second period. Okay, take Florida Panthers over 4 goals. Little worried about that, but I wish you all the best. I think this is one of those games, just looking at those numbers, how they trend to that under is kind of scary. Panthers over 3.5 at minus 128. Yeah, it's definitely some value still there. I would say a lot of goals as well. Panthers money line over 1.5 the first period for the Panthers. 2-team parlay. Japanese baseball money line. Okay, best of bet in that one. We'll get to my best underdog of the day in just a couple of minutes here. Let's get him today, Dave. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and then I will look at your questions again, you guys. The Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Now, Chicago coming in here, major underdogs at plus 360. Alex Stalock confirmed in goal for them. This team is absolutely struggling. Off a loss here, taking on the Colorado Avalanche, who are rolling extremely hot. They've won their last 5 games. They got that nice win on the road over the Red Wings on Saturday. That was a 5-1 win. Again, I was actually shocked that the Red Wings were able to get 1 goal with how strong Colorado looked. Now, Alexander Georgiev expected here in goal for Colorado. This team is lighting it up. To find value on Colorado is hard today. You got to take them on the puck line, laying 2.5 at plus 1.5. Alternative puck line. If you just take them laying 1.5, it's like minus 188, I believe, on that puck line. So laying 2.5 is plus 105. Now, I know the Chicago Blackhawks like to play upset. I know they won the last matchup 3-2, but this Colorado team looks to be in solid form at the moment. They are 4-0 in their last 4 games, playing on 1 day's rest as well. So coming in strong at home in their matchups as well. You look at a couple other ways to take this. If you think they're going to score 5 goals in this one, which I can definitely see, over 4.5 goals tonight is coming in at plus 128. I do like a couple of player props in this one. Looking at Cale Makar, I do think Cale Makar is going to have a solid night. Over 1.5 points for Cale Makar is coming in at plus 146. He had 1 point in the last game versus the Blackhawks, but 2 points in the 2 games prior. And I definitely think in this matchup tonight, with this game being in Colorado, we can expect 2 points out of Cale Makar. And I love the plus 148 value on him. The Blackhawks absolutely have struggled in Colorado. They've only won 1 of the last 6 meetings in Colorado and are 1-5 in the last 6 meetings overall versus Colorado. Now, these teams trend to the over, as the Blackhawks do end up putting a couple of goals up. I don't know if I can count in them here. If you're going to look at this total going over, I would be counting on Colorado to get this total over themselves. So looking at their team total going over that 4.5 at plus 128, I definitely think is value. You could buy it down that 0.5 point and pay a little bit of juice at over 4, and you might get the push there. So definitely a safer way to go. But I do think this is a game. Colorado comes out, covers that puck line. We looked at how dominant they were in that last game, and I definitely think they can do it here again. Let me know your thoughts on the Avs in this one. Avs on the money line and both teams to score 2 each at plus 130. I like that, but then you got to have faith in the Chicago Blackhawks. I just don't have faith in them there. And my dog never barks to the Calgary Flames. If basketball is on, my dog barks like crazy, the little chihuahua at the TV. She hates the squeaking noise on the court. So she's been having a really hard time with March Madness. It's been killing her. But hockey, my dogs are not barking. We'll see if Calgary's barking today. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's look at the next game. On the board, we have the San Jose Sharks taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, interesting matchup here. We know Edmonton shoots themselves in the foot, not winning these games that are supposed to be easy. Okay? We know this. I'm going to put that in your heads before I start talking about it. Edmonton coming in at minus 330, a game that they absolutely should win. They've been rolling hot. They've won their last 3 games. Last game, they were on the road in a bad scheduling spot. I hated their scheduling spot. I took the Kraken. They got that win. It was a 6-4 win in a one-off road game versus the Kraken. They did phenomenal, okay? They've got the Coyotes on deck on Wednesday, so they've got another opponent that's pretty easy on deck. Now, the San Jose Sharks roll in here at plus 260. James Reimer confirmed in goal. This team is not putting up the goals. They're only averaging 2.84. They can't get a win at home to save their lives. They've lost their last 6 games. Last game they're at home versus the Islanders. Islanders won that one 4-1. Now, this is the first game of a Pacific road trip, which is really hard. They face the Canucks next on Thursday. They're sitting 8th in the Pacific. Edmonton sitting 3rd in the Pacific here. What is my problem with Edmonton is the Sharks have won 5 of the last 7 meetings in Edmonton. For some reason, Edmonton lets these games go. Now, with the Coyotes on deck, I don't think this is a look ahead, right? Because the Coyotes are not a solid team. If they had someone like Calgary or the Bruins or a really strong team, I would love to fade Edmonton in this situation with how well the Sharks have played. But because the Sharks and their team on deck, the Coyotes not a hard team, I can't fade Edmonton for this one. But I'm going to look at betting the Sharks in some capacity in this game just because Edmonton has had some struggles versus the Sharks in Edmonton. So looking at both teams to score in the first period, I think if the Sharks come out strong in this one, they can find the back of Jack Campbell's goal to start this game. And we know Edmonton is good for a goal in the first period. They're probably good for 3. Like, let's be realistic. Edmonton is the superior team in this one. If they just get ahead of themselves and expect this to be an easy win, I do think the Sharks score in the first period. So Edmonton will as well. Both teams to score in that first period coming in at plus 144, and I absolutely love it. Now, if you think that the Sharks will keep this one tight, 1-1 in the first period, the Sharks on that puck line plus a half a goal in that first period is minus 122. I don't love it because we are counting on the Sharks to keep it tight, score goal for goal with Edmonton. We've seen Edmonton in some of these games. They've come out of that first period with 3 goals. So if that's the case in this one, the Sharks won't get the same amount of goals. So I'm going to take both teams to score in that first period at plus 144. I do think the Sharks' best chance is to come out strong in that first period. Edmonton they let these games go that they're supposed to win, kind of like Calgary. But I do think the over 6.5, you got to look at that. You got to look at Edmonton's team total over, I believe it's 4.5 today, because we know Edmonton is going to find the back of James Reimer's net. But Jack Campbell, we can't trust him. So looking at Jack Campbell to let a couple goals in by the Sharks. So taking that over 6.5 seems like nice money. I was actually wondering why this one wasn't at 7, to be honest with you. 6.5, that kind of gives me a little bit of worry. Are they expecting the Sharks just fall flat on their face, or Edmonton to play a stronger defensive game? It's definitely going to be an interesting one to see how Edmonton comes out. Over 1.5 first period. Yeah, absolutely. The over 1.5. It's a little juicy though. I didn't like the juice on that. The Oilers on the money line and both teams to score at minus 105. A great way to go with that. Anytime goal. That is a nice anytime goal. What are you getting, Chris, for the value on that anytime goal? Coyotes will be at home. Yeah, Edmonton hitting. Actually, let me just confirm that. I'm pretty sure Edmonton is hitting the road for that trip, but I don't want to tell you the wrong thing because I've been looking at so many teams and so many games on Thursday. Or sorry, it is Wednesday's game. Edmonton is at home. So Edmonton will be at home for the Coyotes. It should be interesting. Oilers over 1.5 first period of minus 105. It's a solid way to go. We know this is probably a 2-1 first period. Edmonton just so phenomenally strong. 1.5 points. Connor McDavid over 1.5 points. Definitely a strong one there. Makar. Oh, that is terrible to hear. Okay, so Cale Makar is out per Chad and ESPN. Definitely stay tuned for that. I'll post under here. If I'm not looking at Cale Makar, you got to look at Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon's numbers are completely juiced for the Colorado Avalanche. So finding some sort of way to make some money in that will be hard. That is sad to hear. Cale Makar is dealing with injuries again. I tell you, Cale Makar is such a strong player, but the amount of injuries he has suffered this season is absolutely crazy. Yeah, we're seeing him out, lower body injury. That is disappointing. I still think Colorado can win and dominate without Cale Makar, so I'm not worried about that, but we've got to scrap his player props in this one as well. Now, the over 7.5, that's a really interesting way to take this, buying it up a whole point at plus 140. I do like that as well. Thank you, Chad, for putting that out. I really appreciate that. I was just looking at his props and bet them 20 minutes before this show. So interesting to see how fast things move and how slow some of the books are for letting those ones go up. Now that over 8-1 in the last 9 meetings in Edmonton, as we have seen the Sharks do their part. So I do think value there. Talking about the last game that I really don't want to talk about because you guys know I'm a Calgary fan. My Calgary Flames take on the LA Kings tonight. This line is confusing. You guys have got to battle the Pacific. And we've got the LA Kings chasing the Vegas Golden Knights and Edmonton chasing them. The Kings sitting second in the Pacific. Calgary sitting fifth in the Pacific. Calgary fighting for a wild card spot, but as a Calgary Flames fan, I'm not expecting it. Looking at their games, they got some easy ones, but Calgary is not stepping up to the plate, winning these games that they need to win. They lost that last game in overtime, though. That was a fantastic game to the Dallas Stars. Heartbreaking loss for the Calgary Flames. Now, we look at Jacob Markstrom. He is playing better on the season. He is confirmed in goal tonight. Phoenix Copley confirmed as well for the LA Kings. Both of these goalies are strong. Got a total of 6.5 in this one. We know both of these teams have the offensive ability to take this one over. It's going to come down to the style of game they decide to play because both can lock down defensively as well. I'm not going to look at the total. I'm not going to look at a side. I'm going to look at the goalie props here. I'm expecting actually both goalies to have phenomenal nights here. These goalies are going to make the difference in this game. I'm going to take both Jacob Markstrom and Phoenix Copley over their save shots on goal. Now, Jacob Markstrom coming in at 27.5 save shots on goal at -122. Now, we know Calgary's doing a really strong game or a really strong play on limiting opponents, holding them to 27.1. But this LA Kings team offensively is so solid. I do think that Calgary allows them to get more shots on Markstrom. Markstrom's going to have to stand on his head. The LA Kings are averaging 32.1 shots on goal per game. I do think Jacob Markstrom will face at least 35 shots from the LA Kings tonight, saving at least 5 of those. So I am looking at Jacob Markstrom over 27.5 save shots, and then looking at Phoenix Copley. I really love what we've seen out of him this season as well. Remember, we had him in a really hard game when he first came out from the AHL. We had the Kings, and then we found out it was him. We had already bet it, but he's done phenomenal for us this season. I love what we're seeing out of the Kings with him. Getting his save shots on goal over 28.5 looks like easy money at -116. Calgary averaging that 35.6 shots on goal per game, and the LA Kings allowing 28.1. I do think Calgary gets at least 33 shots on goal in this game. I love LA Kings, their defense, but they are allowing these shots to come in a little bit higher of a clip than Calgary. So I do expect Phoenix Copley to save over 28.5 shots on goal. And I wish I could give you a side in this one. I am nervous. LA should be a bigger favorite here. We piggybacked on a couple of these situations where LA should be a bigger favorite, and we've not gone against it. We've taken LA, we stuck to our guns. I don't know if I can in this one. Calgary is digging so hard, but the LA Kings are as well. They're trying to win the Pacific Division. So this one is going to come down to some puck luck, you guys. I really do think both goalies stand on their head. Total 6.5. I tell you, it would be so easy to just take this one over because of their offensive productions, what they're able to do, but I can't. I really do lean, if anything, on the under 6.5, expecting defense and goaltending to have a really solid night. I really do expect a lot out of both of these goaltenders tonight. So if you made me take the total, I would take it under 6.5. Now, looking at the Kings, I mean, so strong versus the Pacific. They've won 8 of their last 9 versus the Pacific, 8 of their last 10 at home. They lost their last game to a shootout to Vancouver. And that kind of worried me because Vancouver is not a great, solid team. They shouldn't have let that one go. They've got a lot of rest. So we look at their schedule. They don't play again till Saturday, and they got the Jets on deck on Saturday. Looking at Calgary, they're off that hard overtime loss to the Dallas Stars in a game that they played phenomenally. I do think the Dallas Stars have so much talent. And so for Calgary to be able to take that game to overtime versus the Dallas Stars was a bright, shining light. They've got the Ducks on deck on Thursday, and then Vegas again on Thursday again. So they're going to have to. They've got a really hard game with Vegas in a couple of days. Pacific divisional opponents all over the place here. Then these teams play again on Thursday, the 28th. So we'll see what happens. I think the next game will be in Calgary. I'm actually going to try to get tickets now that I say that. The Flames, 4-1 in their last 5 versus teams with winning records. This is what I mean. This is what's frustrating with the Flames. They have been able to play strong against the teams that no one expects them to beat. So we could get a little bit of puck luck. I do think both of these goalies go over, and that's the best way I'm going to go. You like the Flames plus 1.5 on the puck line? Yeah, these teams play each other really, really tight. Yeah, they did. They really showed up. They got to face the Kings again. They got to play Vegas again. And then they've got easy ones in between. So it's going to be really interesting. Raven, I don't blame you taking the Kings on the money line. I can't get there with a side. Elgin, you taking Flames on the money line. Seth Jones, Blackhawks first goal in that game, 25-1. I do like that plus money. That is great plus money. And the Flames do play them tough. My mom calls the LA Kings big bullies when we play them, though. The LA Kings hit Calgary so hard. Taking the Flames on that puck line, we're not getting really a lot of value there. So there's not enough value at +1.5. The Flames do keep games tight on the road. They're going 20-16 on the road on that puck line, 16-19 at home for the LA Kings. And like I said, my question with the LA Kings here is how they had to go to shootout with Vancouver. I really did think the LA Kings could dominate that when we know Vancouver defensively is struggling. Calgary's stronger defensively, still allowing that 3.04 goals per game, but with Jacob Markstrom playing so much better since the birth of his child. Phoenix Copley playing solid. So I do think this is a goalie prop game. Best of luck to anyone who takes a side in this one. You'll be sweating it for sure. You could look at, though, those goals to come in early, and that's what I keep saying about teams like this. When we got two strong goalies, we know there's going to still be goals. I like that first period for those goalies to make the mistake early. Nerves to be an issue, then for them to settle down, especially in a huge battle of the Pacific like this. This game to go to OT actually is something I hadn't thought about till right now, and I'm going to bet this one to go to overtime as long as I can get this around plus 300 to go to overtime. Let me just check these odds. For this game to go to overtime, it's plus 350. I'm on Calgary and the Kings to go to overtime. Both of these teams want this win too frickin' bad for them to let this one go. Neither team's going to want it to go to overtime because they'll both get points going to overtime. Not what the Kings want, not what the Flames want, but I do think this one pushes to OT. Man, you guys, going to be a freaking great night of hockey. I'm so nervous for this game. I wish I could be in LA to watch it. So big shout out to everyone that is LA Kings fans. I love both of these teams. Calgary is my home team, but I still do love LA Kings. I love the Vegas Golden Knights as well. I'm going to be watching this one. Let's do a recap. Let's build a parlay, you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun on the ice tonight. The Ottawa Senators and the Pittsburgh Penguins come in here 7 o'clock Eastern in this one. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins in regulation at, what are they in regulation? They're coming in at -105 in regulation for a straight up bet. For the parlay, I do like them just straight up on that money line, the Penguins here. Money line, and that's at, what is that coming in at? -164. So juicy not to throw it in a parlay. I do think Tristan Jarry has a strong day, taking him over 27.5 safe shots on goal, just because I think the Ottawa Senators still keep pushing hard in these games. We know the Senators, even though they've lost their last 5, are playing hard, taking the Maple Leafs to a shootout loss in their last game. So I do expect Ottawa to finish the season strong, even though really doubtful to go anywhere in the playoffs. If you're looking at the Penguins as well, they haven't been notoriously strong on that puck line, but I'm tempted at -1.5 at +140 to bite on that. They are 9-25 at home on the puck line. This is what is scaring me, but they've covered the puck line as at home versus the Senators in their last 7. So I do think this is one that they could cover the puck line in this one. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The next game for the recap, the Florida Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings. The Panthers still fighting here for the playoff spot. I think the Panthers in regulation is a solid way to go for the parlay. I'm going to take the Panthers. These favorites better not bite me in the butt. A -188 in the parlay. I think Bobrovsky has a good night. Matthew Tkachuk, I'm looking at his points here, over 1.5 at +108. I think he does get these points here. You could look at him for the anytime goal as well. And then Sam Reinhart for that anytime goal, coming in at +160. I do think he is strong. Now, if you're looking at a total, I would lean more on the Florida Panthers team total than I would at taking this full game over. I just can't bet a game with the Florida Panthers with how explosive they've been to that under, but these teams do trend to the under. So be careful with that one. The Chicago Blackhawks and the Colorado Avalanche. Now this one, 9 o'clock Eastern, we have got word that Cale Makar is out. Hopefully these lines adjust a little bit with a lot of people jumping off Colorado, and we can get more value later in the day as more people find out that Cale Makar is out. But I do think the Colorado Avalanche, even without Cale Makar, come out nice and strong. I think Nathan MacKinnon has a strong game. I do like the extended puck line laying 2.5 goals with Colorado in this one at +104. I could see them winning this one 5-1, 5-0, 5-2 even, and getting a nice win and cover on that puck line. Over 4.5 goals here for Colorado's coming in at +128. And Nathan MacKinnon, so he's had 2 points in the last 2 games versus the Blackhawks. So over 1.5 points is coming in at -132. So with Cale Makar out, I do think Nathan MacKinnon at -132, still a solid way to look for over 1.5 points. Now these teams trend to that over, but I do think in this one, we got to just watch how many goals the Blackhawks can put up. So I don't love throwing this one into the parlay because Colorado is so juiced. I look at Colorado -1.5 on that puck line for the parlay reasons. I hate that I'm liking the favorites today, you guys. I just can't see these games really going any other way. It bit me on Friday riding these favorites. I hate that. The San Jose Sharks and the Edmonton Oilers. I think the Sharks have the ability to score in that first period. My favorite bet of this game is Edmonton and the Sharks. Both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at +144. I do think both teams find the back of each other's net. Jack Campbell is in goal for Edmonton. We know how easy it is for teams to score on Jack Campbell. The Sharks going to be coming out playing hard tonight. They have won 5 of the last 7 meetings in Edmonton. So this is an opportunity for the Sharks to score in that first period. Edmonton to cover the puck line in the first period, I wouldn't be against. If you think the Sharks can keep it tight, which is going to be a struggle, I do think this is like a 2-1, 3-1 style first period, with Edmonton coming up with the more goals. So it's going to be an interesting one here, you guys. Higher scoring game. I do like the over 6.5, and that's what I'll throw into the parlay. Edmonton and Sharks over 6.5. I do see goals, goals, and goals. The LA Kings and the Calgary Flames, like I said, you guys, I really do think we got to stick to the under in this one. It's so hard to take an under between these two teams as they come out playing very different styles a lot of the time. But I do think we're going to rely on really solid defense and goaltending in these games. I'm expecting both goalies to go over their save shots on goal. Jacob Markstrom over 27.5 save shots on goal, and Phoenix Copley over 28.5 save shots on goal. Lower scoring one, that, my favorite bet, we found it here. This game to go to overtime at +350. I really do think this is going to be a 1-goal game. I think if we see the best out of both goalies and both defenses, this one goes under that total, even with OT. And whichever team, may the best team win. It's going to be a freaking fantastic one. So that long shot parlay, I'm not in love with it today, you guys, because I am liking the favorites, which I absolutely hate. But the Penguins on the money line, the Panthers on the money line, Colorado on that puck line, only laying the 1.5, but I do like the 2.5 for a straight up bet. Edmonton, the Sharks over 6.5, and the Flames and the Kings under 6.5. Now, I like the Penguins in regulation, Edmonton, the Sharks, both teams to score in that first period at +144, and Calgary and the Kings to go to OT at +350. Oh, man, you guys, it's going to be a crazy night. Happy Monday, Kev. The Penguins on that puck line -1.5, and the Kings and the Flames under 6.5. Kev, I'm so happy to hear we're on the same side with that under with the Flames and the Kings. I tell you, it is gut-wrenching taking a total in this one. We just have to count on strong goaltending. I hate betting the unders, but I do think this is a 2-2 game. Going into OT, we get 5 goals in this one. It's going to be crazy. Chad, I like the Avs team total over 4.5 at +120. I do think it's a solid way to go in that game. Colorado, just so phenomenally strong. And yes, we know Cale Makar won't be in, you guys, but I do think Nathan McKinnon steps up, has a big night. His over 1.5, minus 132 for over 1.5 points for Nathan McKinnon. I think you look at his anytime goal now with Cale Makar out as well. Ron Flames puck line parlay piece, obviously not straight up. Yeah, definitely. You can throw that in a parlay. You guys, thanks so much for joining me here for a Pocket with Joe. I will be back tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Now, if you're looking for some NBA plays, I do have my Cup of Joe out. That is between the Timberwolves and the New York Knicks tonight. So if you're looking for my prediction in that, just jump back onto my main page on YouTube. You'll find that. I also have a player prop within the Cup of Joe, and I made it into a short. For you guys hanging out with me here, Julius Randle, over 6+ assists, plus 290, you guys. The last 2 games versus the Timberwolves, he's had 9 assists in both, worth a sprinkle. I'm only sprinkling. Don't go big. Don't bet the mortgage on Julius Randle tonight. But if he can repeat what he did in his last 2 games versus the Timberwolves, how can you hate that plus money? You guys, all the best. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate each and every one of you. You guys make my day so much better by joining me here each day. I will be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Keep smiling. And let's make some freaking money. And Joe, yeah, if everyone could hit that like button, comment below what you're liking today, what you're betting, NBA, NHL. There's still some college basketball going on in the CBI. So let me know what you're liking. You have a good one, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.